Welcome to the show that takes up no more than 5 minutes of your time, but could help you gain massive real estate knowledge. It's 5 Minutes in Real Estate with best-selling author Shane Willis.
Hello, it's Shane Willis, Principal Real Estate Expert, bringing you today's episode. Man, it's a nice Friday morning, isn't it? For the most part, it is. For the most part, it is. There's a few things we're dealing with. One of my tenants called me and went, "It's really hot here." I'm like, well, yeah, it's warming up. They went, "No, the air conditioner's not working." Yay. That's okay. That's something that we just happened. We've got procedures, processes. I'm glad they called me Friday morning here, because most of the time that phone call comes if, Friday afternoon at 5 or 6, and now we're talking about after hours rates and all the other stuff. So Friday morning I can deal with. We'll get that taken care of, get them cooled down, because it does look like it's going to warm up this weekend. It's going to feel like Florida. All right, so today it's Friday, so obviously it's Infographic Friday. We come up with a nice, it was a cute one this weekend. I wanted to talk about the Consumer Confidence Index. It just came out. I was just talking to my broker on commodities. We were looking at consumer confidence, discussed a few things about oil for the weekend, and actually took a little bit of profit on cattle. It was a nice little profit play. But the consumer confidence plays a factor in a lot of things. It plays a factor in soybeans, plays a factor in corn, plays a factor in real estate. And with consumer confidence coming up, one of the things that people want to do is, buy a house, buy their first home. So we come up with a little infographic, and I'm titling the podcast link 3 tips for making your dream of buying a home come true. So if your goal is to buy a house in 2018, here's 3 tips to kind of help you out. And we're just keeping it light and fun this Friday, because I got a good weekend planned already. Of course, it's Mother's Day weekend coming up, which means happy Mother's Day, because I will not be having another episode until after Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I know I've got a few things planned for my wife, and catching up with, of course, my mother. And believe it or not, my grandmother. Still around, still. We gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun. So let's get back and talk about this episode. 3 tips for making the dream of buying a home come true. One of the biggest hurdles for buying a home is that down payment. Now, it used to be, and there's still a misconception that everybody thinks you have to have 20% to buy the property. You have to have 20% down. So if you're buying a $100,000 property, you got to save $20,000. And that seems daunting. It is not the case. I want to strike that misconception completely. There's a lot of government programs out there that require a lot less than that. If you are a veteran, obviously you know about the VA loan. That is 0 down. There are some 0 down products that even our local credit unions have. But there's also the FHA, the 3% down. $3,000 is a heck of a lot easier to save than $20,000. And that's if you're buying a $100,000 property. Anyways, there's still some other stuff that we need to save. So one of the things, the first tip that I'm going to give you is to set up a separate account. A separate account. It can be a savings account. It can be a money market account. It can be whatever. But automatically, out of every check, put money in that account. Dave Ramsey talks about this. You have to pay yourself first. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this. Any of your financial gurus are going to talk about this. You must pay yourself first. And if one of your big goals is to buy a home, that needs to be paid first. Then we worry about the other bills. And I don't care how small of an amount it is. I can't tell you how many clients I've worked with that started to buy a house. It started by saving $25 a paycheck. You could save $25 a paycheck if you wanted to. All right, I actually have worked with one customer, started saving $25 a month. And I looked at him and I went, that's $300 a year. That's going to take you a while to get some down payment. But that's where they started. Now, as they paid off some of the debt, because that was some of the things we're going to talk about, they paid off, they worked on their credit, they were able to increase that. But you have to set that separate account up, and you have to make it automatic. There's a fantastic book out there by David Bach called The Automatic Millionaire. He says that from day one, if you don't make this automatic, it won't work. So you need to make it automatic, you need to forget about it. I suggest using 2 different banks. I know I've got some banker friends that are going to go, no, I don't want you to do that. But no, and I've had people do it the same with bank. The problem with using the same bank account or the same bank or credit union, they're just synonymous, is you see it. So when you log in on your online account, you see your other account. You see it. You may be tempted, especially during an emergency, to use it. So I say use a different account. A lot of your online brokerages will have emergency funds, savings, money market accounts that it don't take but $100 to open an account. I'm not plugging them. I don't get paid anything from them, but I have my emergency fund sitting in my E-Trade account. I have a stock account with them. I used it to buy stocks, but I have my emergency fund there. I can get access to that funds real quick. So, but I don't look at it every day when I'm saving for something specific. Okay, I actually have a separate savings account completely because that is my Italy fund. My youngest is 16 and will be graduating high school here in 2 years. So we've already started putting money aside for an Italy fund. Because when we go here in 2 years or whenever she heads off to college, my wife and I are going to head over to Italy and we're going to do it upright. So we're starting to save 2 years in advance. That's cool. But that's in a separate bank account. I don't even see it. Not in my day-to-day operations. When I log into banks, look at some of the bills or some of the operating accounts that I have from the businesses, I don't see this account. But I know that automatically there's some money being put there every month. So set up a separate account, call it your house fund, and make it automatic. Something goes into your house fund every check, period. Okay, that was a long-winded thing for just number one. I've only got 3 tips, so it's not going to be quite as long. Number 2, build your credit history and keep it clean. If you don't know about building credit history, hit a link to me. We can talk about it. I'm going to give you a couple of tips right now. 1, if you do not have any trade lines, meaning if you don't have any credit cards, you don't have any trade lines from the bank, you need to get some. You need to get some started. I'm not telling you to go get a credit card just to get a credit card. And I don't want you to run the credit card up because what happens at that point, that actually drags your credit down. All right, you need to have about a 20 to 25% balance. Some people say you can have 30. And what does that mean? That means if you have a $1,000 credit card limit, don't owe any more than $250, $300. Now, I know Dave Ramsey's going to talk about paying it off every month. I get that, but part of this is building credit. Another tip that I would use, because if you've listened to the podcast for any amount of time, you know that I dealt with a foreclosure in 2008. So 10 years ago, I had my house foreclosed. Well, that has a negative impact on your credit. So how do we fix that? Well, one of the ways I did it, knowing that it would cost me some money, I knew this was on purpose. I took a $1,000 check, and then I had $400 on top of that. I took the $1,000. It must have been $500. Okay. Anyways, I took the $1,000. I went into a bank. I said I would like to buy a CD for $1,000, and then I want to put a loan against the CD. Then I'm going to open a checking account. I'm going to put $150 in there, and I want you to automatically take out the payments for this loan from that checking account. We're just going to do it as a 12-month loan. It's a 12-month CD. And in 11 and a half months, we'll talk. The loan should be paid off, or will be paid off when we cash in the CD. It's no risk for the bank. It's zero risk for the bank, because basically all you do is you hand them $1,000 and then go, can I borrow $1,000? And they go, well, sure. And then when you pay it off, you just pay it off back with that $1,000, but you walk back out of the bank with $1,000 in your hand. Okay, now there are some closing costs. That's why I said you need about another $400 or $500 to do this. But this is a great way to buy some extra credit. Okay, do it 3 times. Had 3 different banks doing the same thing. Again, it's zero risk to them, so they're more than willing to jump on this. Okay, they're making a few bucks, not much, but a few. But all 3 banks are going to report to your credit bureau, and they're going to say that you're paying on time because it's automatic. That's going to give you 12 months of history. That's a fantastic way to build your credit. All right, finally, practice living on a budget. You're going to need to learn how to live on a budget. Don't go on a Carnival cruise line every 3 months. I've seen some people that, hey, I want to buy a house. I literally had this conversation earlier this year. Lady told me, I need some down payment assistance money because I don't have any money to go down. I went, okay, well, we can talk about down payment assistance. Sure. She goes, I really want to see this house, but I can't see it for another 2 weeks. Why is that? Got a 10-day cruise coming up. What? Which one do you want more? So you're going to have to kind of practice living on a budget. Now, I'm not telling you not to live your life. I'm the last person to tell you that. I won't wake up and try and figure out something to have fun every day. But at the same time, you need to practice living on a budget in order to qualify, because you're going to have the debt-to-income ratio that you're going to have to deal with. And owning a property means that things like, if my rental property that I had, the air conditioner just went out, what if that was my home? And it was an after-hours call? Well, that'd be $200. If it's an easy fix, right? If it's an easy fix, it's $200. Okay, so that's $200 out of my pocket. If you don't have an emergency fund, guess what? It's hot in Florida. And it's only May. It's going to get hotter. So you need to live on a budget. You need to make sure you have some emergency funds set aside, because owning a home does have some repairs that you have to do every once in a while. All right, there's your 3 tips. To review, automate your down payment savings account. Build your credit history. Keep it clean. Don't pay stuff late. You have to keep that stuff clean. And practice living on a budget. I got a nice little infographic for you if you're over there and getting it. All right, that's all I got for you, as always. You're not getting the tips, tricks, graphs, infographics on Friday. You're missing out on Infographic Friday. How are you doing that? Get over to 5minutesinrealestate.com and get subscribed today. 5minutesinrealestate.com. Also, if you've not got over to Google Play or iTunes and subscribe to the podcast, so you get notified on your phone when we update our latest episode. Get over there. One of those 2 players, player of choice. I normally search Minutes Real Estate. You'll find me right there on the front page. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a nice comment. Nice comment. Be nice. And as always, if you found any value in this or any other episode, I don't ask for payment. What do I ask for? I ask that you share it on social media. It's Friday, everyone. Happy Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day weekend. Yeah, Mother's Day is Sunday. I don't know. Where's my coffee?